The highly acclaimed London premiere of Next to Normal just had its West End transfer, and I got a chance to hear from the cast and creator of the show about coming back to the production, the changes they had to make for the new venue. I'll share some of my thoughts about how those changes were implemented and whether they worked or not, and you get a very close look at the set and its details as well. Here's your inside look at, in the words of Michael Longus, the director,
Next to Normal 2.0. Everybody clap. How does it feel? How does it feel to be back here in this moment?
Hello. I think we're all really happy just to come back and revisit the show again. I think it was a really special time with us on the Warehouse, and I think it's rare that you get to assemble a cast that has sort of chemistry like this, a real sort of actual love for each other, and we do have that. And so I was just excited just to get back and to see everyone again, and to get to do it here at the Wyndhams is really special. I think it marks a couple of our West End debuts officially, which is really cool. So to do it in a show that I love so much really means the world to me.
Everything Jack said. It's so rare when an entire company gets to come back together and start fresh, but with this wonderful template we had from the Donmar, and find even more new moments and deepen things, and knowing that we've got each other's backs as we try out new things for this gorgeous theatre. So it's been amazing.
Everything they said. And I think also, to be in this theatre and to have this new home has been the most spectacular feeling. Like, we've only had our first two performances, but having so many more people relate and connect to this show every night is the most incredible feeling in the world, and we all just feel so lucky to be able to tell this story again and to have new audiences and new people coming to see this and to connect with us.
This feels like a visual gag. It's brilliant to be here. It feels like a real opportunity to actually re-rehearse. It was much more involved, actually involved more original thinking, but just by putting it into a new configuration of space than maybe I'd anticipated. Any opportunity to frame things in a new way, like a new house with a new audience, is a great opportunity. It's all actors are looking for, really, and you get to work with nice people who are actually good at their jobs, and that helps as well. So I'm a simple man, I've got fairly simple tastes. And this one is ticking all the boxes, that's lovely.
True. No, like everybody, we're all talking about the difference in the house and the exciting aspect of that. I think it's cool to get to present this to people who weren't able to see it at the Donmar because our run was mostly sold out before we even got started. I think it's exciting to hear this many people actually react to things. I think the space, the proximity that we have from the audience compared to the intimacy of the Donmar allows people to feel a little more freely. They don't necessarily feel as seen because they're not. But of course, we still have been able to hold on to the, no pun intended, the electricity of that intimacy that we found in the Donmar. And yeah, like as we've all said, to come back with all of us in those positions is a gift as an actor that we rarely get to experience. So big yes.
Let's talk about what Trevor just mentioned here. How the new theatre allows people to feel less seen than they may have felt in the Donmar Warehouse, where he was playing before, which is a much smaller theatre. I get his point, and there is merit to that, because some people are uncomfortable about being that close to the action, especially in such an emotionally intense show. But a smaller theatre also allowed for a very intimate experience. I'm not saying one is better than the other. There are major changes in how they adapted to the Wyndham Theatre, and again, a new venue is an opportunity to look at things differently, from a new angle. Literally. Personally, I prefer the intimacy of the Donmar because it truly drew you into their story, in their actual physical space. It was like being part of that household. At the current venue, even though the set looks exactly the same, down to the cereal on top of the fridge, the experience is slightly different, of course. Let's see what the cast have to say about it, and I'll go into some more detail about the main production factors that provide a different experience this time around.
Has anyone had a sort of big discovery that they weren't expecting in this new process? Something that they had found about the character or the story that feels like that's an evolution that we're, I guess, either scratching the surface or looking forward to exploring further as we preview the show?
I feel like the relationship between Diana and Dan has deepened quite a lot and changed a little bit, and that's been really cool because what we did at the Donmar worked and felt right, and what we're exploring here also works and feels right, and I think it's a testament to the writing. It holds up to various choices, and it's just up to us to sort of like gauge the connections. And what's amazing about what you've done, Mike and Anne, is create this space where we can try out things and we can kind of go with our gut instincts. And I think I speak for all of us when I say like we feel part of the creative team because we've had the license to sort of just go with our gut, and then we all shape it together and we feel like brave and safe enough to do that. And so I'm finding most of the changes for me this in the last 2 shows, right? Tonight's our 3rd preview, but that we're finding a lot of new interesting things to play, and that's been really exciting.
The geometry of reworking the production to be in proscenium arch instead of in the intimate thrust of the Donmar just means that what works on a downstage diagonal facing upstage in the Donmar creates a kind of insular intimacy that the audience is sort of leaning into, but you try and do that in here, then all you are is inaccessible. The audience can't see your face and they can't hear the better what you're saying. Being forced to open it up this way while simultaneously closing it off here, it just slightly literally shifts your perspective. You are quite literally seeing new things that you weren't seeing last time around.
Perspective is everything, isn't it? It's amazing how if you saw the show at the Donmar, the second you step into the current theatre, you are aware of how much of a difference it makes to see the set from a distance. It's built in 2 levels with the band always visible upstairs. Very often the action is happening on both levels at the same time, and now we have much better visibility of the stage movement and how fluid it is. And you notice that from the get-go. The opening number happens while they're getting ready to start their days. There's a lot of going up and down the stairs. It was really nice to be able to appreciate the stage movement much better this time around.
And that just unlocks stuff, and you're being hit by new stimuli every single show. With enough grey hairs, the experience teaches you to, if you're getting worried about thinking about what's going on in your own head, if you just put your attention outwards again and look at the other actor, they'll be giving you something that you haven't seen before. And I'm definitely finding that working with everybody, but you're right, in this relationship it's throwing new things up, and that's exciting. I think that's all you really want as an actor.
I must say that, like, making a show for the Donmar, you've got the privilege of intimacy, and I knew that when we wanted to create a new production in the UK, that was going to be sort of my way into it. I felt there was an opportunity to really sit around Diana's kitchen. I mean, you respond, like we're talking about, to the architecture. And the Donmar is so tight that we were in the kitchen with her. The rooms were always conceived as like the cortexes of her brain, and the band were going to be the brain chemistry and the juice. We wanted that.
What he just mentioned there about the rooms upstairs representing the cortexes of her brain refers to the projections we see on those white panels up there whenever Diana is struggling, which is more often than not. They're usually abstract, colorful chemicals or pills, and the projections are one of those elements in the production that changed the experience in this new venue. While before you were so close to the stage that it felt like you were diving straight into her brain, now from a distance it's like her brain is being projected out onto the audience. So it feels a bit more comfortable in the sense that you're more removed from the action and have more of an awareness of the people around you for, emotional support. If we're all going through the pain, it's a little bit less painful, right? You're less of a participant, more of an observer now. Although the projections did look way more opulent at the Donmar. But now they do have more freedom to play with multiple elements, such as stage movement and choreography. So I guess it's just about making that balanced.
But I think making it in that close proximity gives it a muscle that we can now stretch and really enjoy, and the boldness with which you guys are finding new choices, and I feel like we've tried to gape through in a very new and exciting way, which is really fun. Just as we understand what he is and the effect he has and how he actually relates to everyone in the family, and all these things just give us riches to play with, which I think is, the gift of revisiting a piece of art that you've made together is the most privileged thing, and sharing it wider. Any questions for anyone specifically? Please jump in.
I think one of the most striking things about this production, your production, is how believable and heartbreaking this family unit is. And I was wondering, both in casting and the rehearsal process, how you kind of built such a believable family.
Well, it started with Ms. Levy, and I've had the privilege of directing her the year before in Carolina Change in New York. and I had just got back. These wonderful authors had just given us the rights. I was playing our cast album, my first cast album, Caroline on Change On, and there was just this voice of Rose just sitting there gently, being perfect. And you know, the thing that Caissie can do is sound astonishing, but like, you know, inflect things with comedy and emotion that I think is heartbreaking. And so I sent you a DM.
The best DM of my life.
And you said yes, which is great. And then we just started putting the company together. So I knew Jamie's work, I knew Trevor's work. You guys I met through the process, which was amazing. So we, you know, held auditions at the Donmar, we got together, we, you know, sent tapes to our authors, got their input. You say this about the family. I've got a picture of Caissie with her kids and with Ellen Jack. And it just looks like grown-up baby Ellen Jack.
Wow.
So I was like,
I really, really hope Jack Wolfe continues to do theatre. The pipes on that guy. I also love how he moves on stage. There's something quite creepy about how close he comes to his co-stars and how he moves around them and stares at them. He was one of the best surprises in last year's theatre for me, and he continues to impress me with his skills. I didn't know him at all before. I knew he was in a Netflix show of some sort, but had no idea he had any theatre background or could sing at all. So it was a great surprise to witness how amazing he is. As is this whole cast, to be honest. They are simply phenomenal. Props to the cast and director. You can truly tell the connection between the actors and how much they actually care for each other, and that reflects in the material, which just enriches it.
I think Next to Normal is like a really intense show for all of you guys emotionally, and I'm wondering how you work with that kind of material 8 times a week, but keep yourselves healthy and not get kind of lost in the intensity of the show and the material.
In rehearsal, I always knew coming into the show, I was a huge fan of the original production of the show, so I knew what I was coming into. I was really struck instantly by like the kindness and the safety within the room straight away. A really amazing way that Mike directed the rehearsal process was inviting in experts who, from all sort of facets of every part of the show, who would know what we were talking about, who were able to talk to us and make sure that we were always creating from a place of truth and authenticity as much as possible, that everything was up to date and everything was safe. Also the production of the Donmar and here too has been partnering with Applause for Thought, which I think has been a really amazing relationship. We've had access to free sessions with a therapist there. And I think it was all about sort of introducing the culture of safety within the room. And we talk about this all the time in the industry and it becomes a buzzword, but genuinely it's the only way that a piece like this could be created now, and having a cast that feels solid with each other and able to share how they're feeling on it at any given moment and know that that's being heard is really important. So I think we were really blessed to have Anne and Mike and Nigel and a team that were able to create that culture for us so that we could go to very intense places in a safe way. And we have sort of rituals put into the show and breaths together, things that we always come back as a company of friends before and after the show, so we can explore these very intense characters on stage.
The collective emotional response to the show is also much more noticeable now because we have more people in the room, obviously, but also because we feel more part of the audience in a way. So on top of sympathizing with the characters' journeys, we also feel for our seat neighbors and all of us sniffing in unison.
It's healthy to have a streak of subversion kicking around as well, and to be able to take the piss out of yourself and the work and anything else you're doing, and each other, and you know, we've definitely got that as well. Like, that keeps your feet on the ground, and it's also important to keep in touch with the idea that you're not trying to be emotional. Everybody in this story is trying to do the best they can. They're trying to be as strong as they can. They're actually trying not to be emotional, and that's where the the juice comes from. That's when that starts to, and the idea is that you keep a lid on that until you can't anymore.
I love the idea of what you're saying, that the act of making the play is rehearsing the muscle that tells the story well and makes you strong as an actor to deliver it. Because I have to say that, like, this cast are phenomenal, but I don't worry about any of them. You know, I don't worry, and I hope it's not oversharing, like, it's your kid's baby grow in the baby box, and that's, you know, that might be something that I would be worried about as a director, because I think one of the director's job is to make sure the rehearsal room isn't therapy. I'm not trained to do that, and yes, we had people from Applause before that can do that. But I do worry that as we talk about making safe spaces, that puts sort of unrealistic, medical pressure experience on a director to hold that. So we have to collectively hold what is the work, what is creating a character, what is letting go of a character. But something, as you say, this is a story about resilience, about humans working hard to do the right thing, about getting stronger. And you see that growth in the show, and I think that's what we respond to. And I can feel that in us as a company, as we trust each other to go braver, to add crazy bits where we're going to fall off the stage. And all that stuff is trust. If we can't do it now, let's work out how we can get to it. How can we hold it? What do we need? How do we hold each other? Being away from family, how do we make sure that we can organise a rehearsal process so you can get back to bedtime? All of that helps us be strong as a company, and then when we share it, we know we're doing a good thing, and that's what inspires us to keep doing it.
What do you want audiences to take away from the show?
I am someone who loves to go to the theater and deeply feel something, and not just the theater, any art. I'm just that kind of person. It is a visceral kind of experience for me. I think Brian and I looked at Next to Normal as an opportunity for people to feel a connection.
Mission accomplished.
And maybe something that was hopeful, something that depicts people who are going through something and need to find healing. And when Brian and I started this musical, I didn't notice that the conversation of mental health was, I think, as discussed, and there can always be more. We're always working on ourselves and working on having these conversations in the world. But I felt like, as a writer who was looking to the shows that inspired me and made me leave the theater, wanted to talk about things, I wanted to add to that in whatever way I could as an artist, to create something that people would take away and have conversations, look at their own lives, and hopefully find meaning and hope and connection. And if it can offer comfort, if it can offer any kind of guidance to anything in the human experience, that's the greatest thing that I can take away as an artist. All we do as artists is we put the work out there, but we can have intention. And my intention as an artist is to bring humanity to the world and to tell stories that feel like they have the power to move people and make them feel hope. And so whatever people take away from this story, I hope that it does infuse that kind of sensibility. People are sharing their emotions in ways that we can all feel and we can hear. That's been a gift as an artist, to feel that in the world.
Kind of jumping on that, Tom. I think it's always exciting that anybody's going to feel anything, and so I think we've been in productions, and we've gone to productions where you go and you can tell that it's trying to elicit a certain response, and I don't think we ever beg for it or ask for it. I think we just present the story and the characters as they are, and everybody each trying to do their best, trying to work through these things. And that naturally brings a response from people, and I think that's really special and important to hold on to. Everybody, including us, as we've come back to the work, we find different things in it that can trigger, that can make you feel something. And I think audience members come in and they may be expecting to feel a certain way about certain things, and then they're finding other things that are affecting them emotionally. And I think that's remarkable, and that's a testament to the truth of the work that we're presenting. And so I think as long as people are feeling something and responding to it with some form of emotional release, that's the most important thing, is that people are leaving feeling something from the work that we're doing and presenting.
I was just going to say specifically about this production as well, for the people like me who are waiting so long for this show to get to London to actually get to see it. I'm excited to challenge them. I'm excited for them to see something new and to discover an extra layer onto a show that they think they know really well. Because I thought that, and when I arrived to rehearsal, I booked tickets for a preview before I auditioned for it, so I thought I knew what I was stepping into, and actually what's been really exciting is being able to dismantle that with love for the original and reverence for it, but then it's challenging and it's exciting, and there's a whole different set of layers on top of it. So I'm really excited for people who know Next to Normal as well to see a production that I hope that they can find all the things that they love from it, but also leave with a whole discovery of new ideas of the show for them too.
Great works rehearse life. They help us rehearse the hard things in life. You know what I mean? Births, deaths, marriages, love, not loving, struggling with mental illness. Like, they're the big things, and they're the big things that we don't talk about. And getting to see a family struggle and, you know, rehearse life in front of us, it makes it easier to have those conversations outside the world. That's why I think stories specifically like this are so important. By these people putting their journey on stage, we get to choose from that.
Every time I talk to anyone about this project, one thing that he always mentions is that the show manages to transform stories and emotions that they can't even explain themselves. Is there any element in the show that you connect with that
I connect so deeply with the show as a mother, as someone who struggles with depression and anxiety, as family members that deal with those elements as well. There's a lot of ways in for me to the piece. And I was doing another show when it was at Broadway, so like I have a connection to the original. Tom Kitt and I go way back. So like there's all sorts of reasons I would like the piece. And now that I'm doing it, I would say it's those melody lines. I mean, the writing is so gorgeous, and it's usually the violin line that just like breaks. And I feel like the orchestrations are so important to the storytelling. But I feel like having a band on stage and getting to have that collaboration with the musicians and really hear those beautiful musical lines that sometimes, as an actor, if the orchestra's below and underneath, you don't always get to appreciate. It just like underscores everything you're doing during the piece, and it marries so well with that one stage. That's amazing.
I'm going to jump it straight on that one. If you look at the list of the all-time great musicals, they're all really, really dark. Anywhere from West Side Story or Todd or Chicago or Cabaret, they're all dealing with incredibly difficult, unresolvable existential questions. And I'd say in one way you could call something as challenging as this conservative, if you wanted to use it. It's almost traditional. Provided you're interested in doing, not to sound self-important about it on your behalf, Tom, but provided you're interested in complexity, provided you're interested in doing the difficult thing first. Challenging work is challenging work.
It's the work, isn't it? Yeah. And like, one of the things that's so nice coming back to Revival is like knowing what Gabe is this time. I mean, everyone knows the show, but like discussions about the effect of prolonged complex grief versus the effects of bipolar, about psychotic delusions, where those intersect. Those are like technical, hard questions in terms of what is an ethical staging of what we're trying to do, and how that meets the form and how that meets theatricality. And to have basically like theatre craft, a plot twist like that, with theme that is, you know, based on real research. And there is, of course, a meeting about how that works in theatre, and actually I came to understand Gabe a lot more about grief, and about, you know, 14% of widows have sensory hallucinations of their partner. Like, that's just a fact. When you know that fact, you can understand who can or can't see Gabe and why that exists. I think what the music does is allow us to have a cathartic experience with the pain that might not be possible, and that's why I think some of these great, challenging musicals that Jamie talked about have success, because in 3 chords of an opening prologue, you can do more than a paragraph of writing, I think.
It's important to acknowledge and celebrate the varied landscape of musical theater. And I think what this show does, it opens a window into musical theater for people that may not have been willing to step into a theater if a musical was on. And I think having that level of weight of the material really does help legitimize it for some people's eyes. But I think the most important thing is, I mean, you have people up here, we've done all kinds of musicals, we've done all sorts of musicals, and we love them all for different reasons, and I think audiences can love them all for different reasons. So I think anything that takes the art form and continues to elevate it in the public eye is incredibly important. But I very much want to champion that all forms of musicals have their place and are beautiful in their own artistic way.
On that amazing point, Trevor, here, amen.
It's certainly a different experience now that this production has a new home, but just as impactful and thought-provoking, and I'm sure quite transformative for some people as well, as it was before, and has always been, really. Let me know what you thought on this production if you have seen it, or what are your expectations if you haven't, in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave your like, and I'll see you next time to conquer the world of musical theatre. Keep singing. Ciao!